Hey everybody, it's Andrew Martin, the Spiritual Rebel, coming to you with another video on this beautiful, sunny Seattle morning. I love late summer. It's one of my favorite times of year. Actually, you'll probably hear me say pretty consistently through my videos that most times of year are my favorite time of year, but I love this time of year because when it's still sunny and kind of warm, but you feel like the shift in the light, and it starts to get a little bit cooler in the air, but that sun still comes through. Man, I just love this weather. It's just my favorite. I don't know. It's like that feeling that fall is starting to arrive and that she's on the way and that summer is sort of winding down. And I don't know, I start to feel kind of cozy and like nesty sort of energy. Like I just want to curl up in a blanket and I don't know, eat biscuits and stew and and not come out for the next 3 months. But I digress. I was sitting on the couch this morning and the thought crossed my mind that our capacity for love is our greatest asset. It is our greatest power. It is our true nature. It is the truth. Our capacity for love and compassion and empathy and cooperation and connection. That's it. That's why we're here. That's the truth of who we are. And the energies have been crazy lately. Let's not deny that. First of all, let's just acknowledge the fact that, especially since June 21st, since the solstice, but really August has been so insanely powerful, and it's just calling us to, I mean, you just keep expanding. And I think in the past I always had this idea that it was about excavating and sort of digging in, but now it feels like it's this expansion. It feels like there's this energy that is just welling up from within and is expanding and growing and getting bigger and bigger. And it's like the external old version of myself and my life is just sort of splitting. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like a balloon within a balloon, and the new balloon is expanding and expanding, and the outer balloon is just getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And it just eventually splits and pops, and then the new balloon just continues to expand. And so it just feels like we're being cracked open. We're being split open and broken open from the inside. And it's a fucking powerful, amazing, wonderful thing if we really let it do what it wants to do and let these energies come in and surrender to them and trust that they are here to work with us and for us, and that also they're not going anywhere. This really is moving us to a place where we live from and acknowledge the power of the heart. And these energies are no joke. I mean, I know we've all been going through it, myself included. I'm absolutely on the ride with you, in that it's just mind-blowing. It's just mind-blowing how much bigger we can continue to get, how much larger and greater and grander our capacity for love and compassion and unity and connection and living from the heart, how it just is infinite and expansive, and it never ends. The mind is always looking for the end point, right? The mind is always looking for, like, okay, on what date is it going to stop? And on what date am I going to wake up and be, ascended, or this new version of myself, or whatever? And I understand that. And certainly there are markers along this energetic path that we can look at and say, oh, okay, cool. I kind of made it through this portal. I made it through this gate. But our capacity to expand, we are infinite. We are infinite, and we are connected to all that is. So, newsflash, it never ends. There is no end point or end game in terms of the mind's idea of that. We are only continuing to expand and to grow and to reach new levels of love and compassion and empathy, and we will continue to expand into that. And these energies are calling us to surrender to the flow of the energy, and the energy knows what it's here to do. The energy is intelligent, It's consciousness. The energy is consciousness, and consciousness knows what it needs, what it is here to do. It's got it. And we just have to do our best to quiet the mind and go to the heart and understand that this is the direction that we are headed in. And, we keep talking about this new reality and this new, earth. And the truth is that it's already here. It's already here. And we are being called to remove anything that we have erected around ourselves, internally, externally, these ideas of separation and competition and needing, that we are somehow isolated or separate from all that is. We are being called to dismantle that, because the energies have shown up and they're like, hey, we're here. So y'all got to get on board. You need to do the work that is required to join us and to allow these new energies and this new reality to manifest itself, because the truth is that it is already here. It's like there's this new world out there, and a lot of us are still hiding in our house, kind of peeking through the blinds going, oh, I don't know, what's that? And so much of it, I'll speak about my own experience because that's always what I can relate to for you. And it's how I can share my own path with you in hopes of shedding some light on the situation and kind of what's going on. It's this idea that our capacity to love, our capacity for compassion and empathy and understanding and trust and connection and community and cooperation, it all comes from the heart, and it is our greatest asset. And for so long, and for so much of my life, I tried to hide from that. I saw my capacity for empathy and my compassion and the capacity for love and connection and wanting to help and assist and connect with people in a very real way of how can I help? What can I do? How can I serve? I hid from that. I saw that as a weakness. Because we are raised in a society that tells you, no, man up, toughen up, be tough, only the strong survive, survival of the fittest, there's only one winner, king of the mountain. You gotta strive, you gotta struggle, you gotta win, you gotta defeat everybody else. And this idea that somehow we're supposed to be consuming and hoarding and collecting and isolating ourselves and sort of, surrounding ourselves with our stuff and our things, and that if you have something, then that means I have to go without. And if you're the winner, that means I'm the loser. And that only one person ultimately is going to come out on top, and it's going to be me. And, everybody else is just going to have to suffer and struggle because I'm the only one that matters. And that's kind of what we're trained to believe. That's what we're raised in. So, of course, why would I not see love and compassion and unity and cooperation and empathy as a weakness? It totally makes sense, but the truth is that that's just fucking bullshit. Our hearts are the ones that are running the show. This energy is coming in and it is designed and programmed to remove anything that we have constructed or erected around ourselves to keep us separate or low, in this idea that there's only competition and lack and scarcity, and that our hearts are somehow weaker than the mind, that if you're coming from a place of love or, all of these higher vibrational states are somehow a weakness, and that you got to be tough and strong and compete. But our capacity for love and compassion is our greatest asset. That is the way of the world now, and that's where we are headed, and that's what we see. All of these things that are crumbling around us are crumbling because these energies are coming in and saying, it's just not going to stand. It's just not real. It's about connecting from the heart, and anything that is not in alignment with the integrity and the truth of who we know ourselves to be now and who we are being called to be is just not going to fucking stand, and we're going to continue to see it crumble. And it is about us forgiving ourselves. For myself, the past couple of weeks have been all about me forgiving myself for all of the pain that I caused in an attempt to hide the power of my heart. All of the anger and frustration and doubt and insecurity and defensiveness and all of that stuff came from a place of fear. Came from a place of, if they see how sensitive and empathic and compassionate and kind I really am, they're going to see it as a weakness. And that's going to mean that I lose. And that's going to mean that somehow, because it's interesting, because, I have these conversations with friends and with family, the people that have always really known me in a very close way. And they say, well, Andrew, this is who you've always been. You've always been loving. You've always been compassionate. You've always been kind. And you've always had this great capacity for empathy. This is nothing new. And they've seen it. And I've allowed them to see it. And I've shown it and shared it with them. But that's honestly, that was 5% of my life. And the other 95% was about me having this hard exterior, this defensive shell. Nobody can get through it. I'm going to get there first. I'm going to, act out in pain to keep you at bay and to keep you away, because I thought that my capacity for love was a weakness. And so it's about forgiving myself for that erroneous belief and not beating myself up for it and just saying, hey, look, honey, I understand. Why wouldn't you think that? In this society, love and compassion and unity and kindness are the exception, not the rule. We see these things, we look at things like Mother Teresa and Gandhi and Martin Luther King and things like St. Jude's Hospital and charities. We see these things as this nice sort of quaint idea, and look, it's this exceptional situation, this exceptional person, this exceptional organization. But then the rest of the world is the real world. And oh, wouldn't it be nice if the whole world could be like that? But that's utopian and that's idealistic and that can't be. Well, you know what? It is. And we're seeing a shift in that direction more and more. So why not be exceptional? Why not model ourselves after these sort of crystalline, unique, very brilliant, precious, amazing, magnificent individuals and organizations that we see as. And the reason I use St. Jude's as an example is because, they provide cancer treatment for children for free. And, a corporation would look at that and go, well, that's ridiculous. You can't, how is that supposed to be supported? And you can't, that construct is, sure, it's a nice idea. It's idealistic, it's utopian, but let's be real. Let's be practical. Bullshit. That's what these energies are here to do. It is calling us to come to a new level of faith and trust and to say, we are all connected. There is no separation. We literally are all connected. And the heart is saying, look, I'm the one running the show now. These energies that are just coming in and, calling us into new levels of trust and expansion and faith and awareness and understanding. And all of a sudden we're like, wait, these old ideas aren't compatible anymore. These old things that I used to value so highly aren't relevant anymore. These old markers for success and happiness aren't what I hold up as true anymore. And why do, jobs are ending, relationships are ending, we're moving, we're changing. These huge shifts are all bringing us to alignment with our heart. And the heart is saying, it is stepping forward and asserting itself now and stepping into the truth of itself and saying, look, I am the conduit for the high self to come through. The heart is the portal for the high self, the true self, to make itself manifest in our lives. And the heart informs the mind, and the heart informs the body, and the field, the literal energetic field of the heart is so much more powerful and so much greater than we had ever even considered. And it is stepping forward into its place of power to say, this is it. It's all about living our lives from the heart, creating from the heart. And of course, those things in the world that are tragic and horrible, and we see so much loss and death and destruction, it is not about minimizing them, but it is about ascending to a perspective that allows us to see them transcendent of the human experience, which is to say, these things are happening to point our attention and to draw our attention to the places that still need healing and compassion and empathy and love. The things that are not coming from the heart cannot stand and cannot survive, and we will continue to see them crumble around us. And our job is to acknowledge the pain and the destruction and the loss and the dissolution of these old constructs and these old paradigms, to find our place of equilibrium within that. It's not about saying that these things are happening. It is about acknowledging that they are happening and then coming back to a place of balance within ourselves from the heart, finding that equilibrium, and then saying, okay, now I can act. When I come from a place of love and compassion and unity and trust and faith, then I can act. It is not about acting from the mind, which is, revenge, separation, competition, destruction. There can only be one winner. Sort of this revenge kind of thing. That's all the mind. The true self, the high self, only seeks to unite. It only seeks compassion. It only seeks empathy. It only seeks community and cooperation. And anything else is just bullshit. And anything else is just an illusion. So our capacity for love is our greatest asset. And my work over the past couple of weeks has been about really forgiving myself for all of the times in my life where I have thought otherwise, where I have thought that, that's something to be embarrassed about or ashamed of or to see as a weakness or to hide from people. And it's about now stepping forward and saying, no, man, look how powerful my heart is. Look how bright it is. Look how brilliant my life is when I create from compassion and love and unity and cooperation. And I don't need to defend myself. I don't need to explain myself. I don't need to justify myself. I'm not concerned with what another thinks, because I know that when I am coming from the integrity and the alignment of my heart, which is the conduit and the portal to allow my true self to manifest within this reality, I am calling it forth. And I am choosing to allow my life to be the vehicle that allows my divine self to be manifest in my physical form. And to understand that there is no separation. The internal state and the external state are always one. They mirror each other. And there is no separation. So forgive yourself. That's what I'm going to call you to do today. And invite you to look at where in our lives, where in your life have you hidden from the power of your heart and your love and your capacity for compassion. And begin to forgive yourself for it and say, I'm sorry. Of course it makes sense that I would do that. We live in an environment and a society and a world that encourages that. Encourages, aggression and isolation and competition. But that's not the true way. That's just not the real way. And so I understand why you would choose to think that way and why you would choose to create from that place. And I forgive you for it because, there's no reason to continue living that way, and there's no reason for me to not forgive myself for it. So yeah, done and dusted. And I, stick a fork in it. Forgiveness granted. Check mark. Let's go. Let's get on with moving forward and creating from the heart and our truth. And stop hiding it. Our capacity for love is our greatest asset. And the heart is the one that is running the show now. And the heart is asserting itself and stepping into its place of mastery and saying, this is how it is. This is how it is, and anything else just won't stand. And you're gonna be doing a lot of heavy lifting if you're gonna continue to try to support a life that is based on anything other than living from your heart. I hope this makes sense. I'm gonna watch this video and make sure that it's coherent. Because I was just sitting on the sofa having my coffee and I was inspired to share this, and that thought came through. So I said, well, why not? I'll just go with it. So if you're watching this, then I have deemed it appropriate to share with you. So go to my website, You can check me out there. Just a reminder that all of my services now have been reduced in rate for until further notice. You can use the book now button to, pick your time and your slot, pay for it all in one shot, done and done. I do have a couple of events coming up in September. September 5th at East West Bookshop, my Accessing Spiritual Guidance class here in Seattle is going to be, I think it's a Saturday. It's 3 hours. Super exciting. This class is so awesome. I've taught it twice now, and I can't wait to share it again. And then September 24th at Sacred Garden Healing Center here in Seattle, I'm starting a new thing called the Soul Expansion Series, which is, a gathering of people coming together and creating an energetic space that is powerful and expansive and uplifting. And it's going to be a donation-based event. So, everyone can come and pay what you can. And we're just going to gather, and I'm going to share and let the energy of the room tell me what it is that, it needs, and we'll bring through the teachings that want to come through. And I'm super excited for that as well. Thank you as always for watching. I do love you. I do appreciate you. And I do know that your heart is so much more powerful than you even know. And that's what we're being called to realize and to surrender to the power of the heart, because the heart knows. That's it. Thank you as always for watching. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.